understanding the social TV phenomenon in just 15 minutes. I think that might be a bit of a tall order, but we're gonna talk about the intersection between TV and social, and we should really be talking about social video rather than social TV here. And I'll mention why in just a second. So why don't we take a quick look at who is using social? I think you probably already have a fairly good idea, right? And this chart probably actually confirms what you already know. Yes, it is very heavily weighted towards young people. 18 to 29-year-olds are the majority users on all of the platforms. But I want you to look really at there is meaningful use across all age groups on many of the platforms, with the exception of Instagram and Twitter, by the way, which is mostly younger folks. Older folks, Donald Trump is absolutely the exception on Twitter, it would appear. So it is fundamentally a younger audience. It's also fairly evenly split on the main platforms between men and women. So Facebook is obviously the dominant platform here, and it is fairly evenly split between men and women. There are some differences. Instagram and Pinterest, more women than men use those platforms, and LinkedIn is more men than women. But good news is you get a good cross-section of both sexes, and urban, suburban, and rural, with folks using LinkedIn. So probably not that many farmers need to be using that platform, I would guess. Okay, so that's who's watching, or using, I should say. Social media is moving towards television models. There's no question about that. Twitter last year had the rights to 10 NFL Thursday night games and did pretty darn well. Look, NFL on a Thursday night is probably the most popular thing going on a Thursday night in the US. But let's be honest, it's not premium property. But they're delivering 2.7 million audience. And they have 265,000 viewers per minute. So that's a lot of concurrency going on there. So that's a pretty decent audience. No surprise when these rights came up for sale again this year. They went for 10 times what Twitter paid for them. So actually I expect to see that audience grow pretty strongly this year. Facebook is busily pushing their live platform for pro content, and they're pushing it by paying people to be there. 50 million in premium providers to use the platform in 16, and as you can see, pretty big names there: BuzzFeed, New York Times, CNN. They're also paying influencers. This is very important in social platforms. Those of you who are in the broadcast business and are using social know about those influencers. So getting those there is also really important. And it's working. 300% increase in usage in live videos between January and May of 2016. Yes, in 6 months, basically. That's a pretty impressive growth there. Snapchat, well, the constantly moving media model of Snapchat has moved on, and now they're looking at creating their own content with Hollywood. So they're actually showing up now in a lot of the meetings down in Hollywood, trying to court great content for that platform. So they're looking to grow Discover into a much stronger video platform. It's already doing very well. A lot of young people are in there daily. About 44% of people under the age of 30 are spending 30 minutes a day, 18 times a day in that platform, in the Discover platform. So very successful for them. Why? So why is social beginning to move towards television? Well, the obvious answer here is money. Some great analysis by Ampere Analysis on this. As you can see, ad values in social platforms have been growing dramatically over the last 4 years. In Europe, from 14% of TV revenues to 53% in 4 years. And a similar movement in the States, 7% to 40% of TV of advertising ARPU. So very impressive growth in that revenue. So that's one very good reason why they want to do that. The other one is that actually advertisers now are beginning to really take social platforms incredibly seriously. First of all, they are the preferred platform in the digital domain. So that's why they're beginning to channel a lot of money towards those social platforms. And part of the reason you can actually see from this quote here from Matthew Corbin. He says, because of all the signals we have, the relevancy we can bring both in advertising and in media is incredibly powerful. He talks about advertising to people, not to demographics, which, as we know, that's an incredibly powerful thing to do. And it is having a big impact on advertisers. They are hearing this. They can get attribution on Facebook and other platforms that they can't get elsewhere. And that is what is drawing dollars to those platforms. And the dangerous thing here for television is that advertisers are beginning to pool all of their money. They used to keep TV over here, digital over here. And the digital pile was way smaller, but they're together now. And they're allocating that money based on attribution. Can I know who is seeing my ad? Can I target accurately who sees my ad? So TV and social are in competition now for the same advertising dollars. Excuse me. But TV is taking social seriously too. YouTube clips, they've basically become a new kind of TV viewership currency. We're used to Barb and Nielsen, but hey, popularity in social media is a pretty good gauge of how good and how great your content is, even for long form. Look at this with Empire from Fox. 106 million Empire-related clips on YouTube. And remember the days when they were premium providers were issuing takedown requests? Those days are over. 95% of those clips from Empire are from us, from the viewers. So they are recognizing the promotional value of social media to drive people back to the shows. NBC programs on YouTube have generated 13.4 billion views. That's a lot of viewing, and that is bringing people back to watching the content on television and help driving growth there. Bad news, doesn't drive much revenue. Getting coherent revenue out of social platforms from premium providers is a real challenge. So we're still waiting for a better articulated revenue-generating models from those platforms to allow premium content to really generate a lot of revenue there. So primarily a promotional vehicle for you at the moment. Social has great reach. This is some Nielsen data that I've segmented out by smartphone and by tablet to show you what people are watching on mobile. And let's be honest, social is at heart a mobile media service. And what you see here is on the smartphone, of course, app and web is driving the most traffic. That's what we all do with smartphones these days, right? But look at the difference between video and social. Social is used way more than video on the smartphone and on the tablet. Why does this matter? If you're a premium TV provider and you're putting your app out there, you are not going to get very many people on it. The top app in the US is from NBC. 5.5% of people with smartphones have downloaded that app. Simply put, you can get way better coverage to an audience through a social platform than you can through your own app. Is social detracting from television? Well, on the face of it, no. I mean, here you look at the growth of media usage in the US. This is Nielsen numbers. And what you see there is, hey, look, TV is holding up pretty good, or at least it looks that way from these numbers. Truth is, in the younger demographic, it's not holding up well at all. But what you see is it's all growth, right? We're finding ways to consume a lot more. On the bus in the morning, in the queue at the supermarket. But the problem is that this is not all additive. A lot of this stuff is taking place at the same time. So while people are sitting and watching TV, they're also consuming a lot of social media. And that means they're also watching social videos while they're watching TV. So this is very competitive. This is a very competitive situation. Okay, so I've thrown a lot of stuff at you. I don't think I can honestly say that I see full understanding of social media in your eyes. But at least maybe we have some understanding of the intersection between television here. A couple of key takeaways. Social is already competing with TV for ad revenue. And don't forget about this issue about them pooling all of the money together now and allocating it all from one pot. That's a very important fact that we in the TV business have to be very, very cognizant of. They are also beginning to embrace traditional media. Premium sports now are starting to appear in social platforms and doing pretty darn well. And that is competitive with television that also have those rights. A lot of these rights are duplicative. For scripted, social is a great discovery platform, not a competitive platform today. People are primarily consuming short videos. Still a lot of viral videos being consumed in social platforms. And it's just not a good environment yet for longer form scripted viewing. However, you can bet that they have their ambition there, because one of the things we know about television is television brings engagement, and engagement brings more ad views, which brings more revenue. So you can bet social platforms are looking at that. And for some specific media types like sports and news, it could be a better platform even than television. That's where a lot of audiences are today. So if you have those assets, consider syndicating them onto social platforms to continue tracking your audience. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Colin. Do we have time for one question from the audience? If not, I'm going to ask you, is there not a risk that media and entertainment properties owners aren't just simply going to drive people into the hands of the social networks that are ultimately going to distract the attention of their viewers and compete with them?
So there is a risk of doing that. However, unfortunately, the risk of not doing it is bigger because, first of all, audiences are migrating to those platforms. So a very interesting fact came out. Awesomeness TV polled their audience. Awesomeness basically targets the 9 to 14-year-old girls, the tweenies. And they asked them, if you could keep just one screen, what would you keep? 0 said television. 0. They live on their smartphones. So the risk is if you don't go there, you won't be there for that audience as they age, because frankly, this audience, they may buy a TV later, but they won't be watching traditional linear television. They'll be watching much more fragmented on-demand television. That's what they grew up with.
Okay, thanks very much.